Finally, I'm driving my racing lawnmower, but I really want to find out what it can do. So I will set up some repeatable tests to set a baseline, not only to see the improvements in the future, but also so you can compare your build to my mower. But first, I have to fix the steering.
I lost steering. That was scary.
As you can see here, the chain is not attached to the sprocket anymore. The reason is that this part on the other side slipped, and I did some research. These are rated for like 100 kilos, while those are rated for 600. And my thought is maybe I can use 2 or 3 and then it should last. Let's find out. Hey guys, my name is Per and welcome back to the MX Garage. This is my racing lawnmower. Last time I started driving it. This time I already broke the steering, so I have to fix that. I also want to put the hood and some bumpers on, finish some tiny things, and really figure out what this machine can do. If you don't already know, my lawnmower uses a custom chain steering. It has a sprocket and a chain on either side, and it's attached with some ropes. However, these metal ropes are attached with this, and I thought that was the issue. However, when I look at the damage, there's actually a piece of plastic inside the rope, which I wasn't able to see before. However, the plastic broke, which resulted in the metal piece slipping and falling off. I just spent the last 2 hours getting a new wire, so now I can take the old wire out, cut this to size, and show you the difference. Here you can see the new setup versus the old one. Supposedly this one could roughly lift 100 kilos, while this one can lift over 690 or something. And the same with the wires. This one, as you can see here, has the plastic part in it. So I actually realized this was only rated for 90 kilo and this was rated for close to 900. I will continue with this cable and make the bends and all those kinds of things and then install it and show you how it goes. I got it all installed, so let me show you how it looks now. This is what I came up with and it works. I need to see if it works well. Something I also noticed was that these bolts actually bent. I don't know if the camera is picking it up, so I need to redesign this part. Now that the steering is done, I also adjusted the brake position. I put it a little bit further backward, so when I push all the way through, I don't hit the tire. Furthermore, I put the front bumper on and the rear bumper. So the only thing missing is the hood. Let's put the hood on and see how it looks. The lawnmower is ready. The track is not. We still have a little bit of sunlight, so let's get to it. I'm gonna basically build a slalom course with these markers. Will put every marker 5 meters apart, 11 total, so 15-meter runway. And I tried to select the section where it's not as bumpy. It's still quite bumpy, so let's see how that goes. The things I want to test is basically acceleration, handling, and braking. One test is basically a drag race, where I go from this yellow cone to the last one, see how fast I can get there, so measuring the time. I think having a baseline time for a 50-meter sprint is a good idea. Then of course having a slalom, going all the way down, and also brake tests, going with a set speed and seeing how far it takes before it brakes. And I also think most of you guys probably have a patch of grass where you can drive 50 meters in one direction. Set up some cones, then see how fast you can do the challenges. Please let me know if you do it in the comment. I'm really curious how my racing lawnmower stacks up to yours. With that, let me get the lawnmower. In the first test, I will test the brakes. I will accelerate to 30 kilometers an hour and then hit the brakes hard and measure the distance. As you can see, the track is really bumpy and it's below freezing temperatures, so it's cold. But here, first attempt, I'm braking, slowing down. I actually locked up the rear wheels for a bit, but you could see I went 29 kilometers an hour and I had a brake distance of roughly 10 meters. In the second run, I think I go a little bit faster. You can see it's more bumpy. And same thing, I brake and I stopped slightly later. It was like 10.5 meters. And here you can see the speed is 34. In this test, I will drive a slalom around 6 cones, which are 10 meters apart, so a total length of 50 meters. The track is bumpy, and you can see I'm just trying to get the steering wheel around. The steering actually held up, and in this view you can actually see what's going on. So first I go left and then I'll go right. It takes a bit before I get up to speed, and it's actually quite bumpy, but For the first run, I think it was quite okay. Run was 8.5 seconds. The problem with this patch of grass is that the outer wheels are actually always further down than the inner wheels because it's so uneven. You can kind of see it here when I go right and left. But here I go again, full speed ahead. Another view. Was it faster? Well, I know that it was 8.2 seconds. Now it's time for a 50-meter drag race where I both measure the time it takes and the maximum speed using my Doppler radar. And I just go full throttle here until I hit the bumps, then it's gonna be code brown and I actually start lifting. But let's look at the top speed anyway. So I go down here, and if you can catch it there, it says 37. So my maximum speed was 37 and it took 7.6 seconds. In the second run I decided to be a little bit braver and just go full throttle no matter what. And I nearly don't get it stopped in time, but that's a different story. This actually was a pretty good run. I start going, keep the throttle down. Maybe lifted a little bit in the end, but I got to 6.17 seconds and 46 kilometers an hour. So why is comfort such a big deal and how do I test it? Well, you can't really test it directly. You have to drive the machine and see how it feels. But in my opinion, if I'm comfortable in it, it means that I can control the machine without fighting it. Right now I can't do that. Right now, when I sit in it, I don't feel strapped in. So let me break it down to 3 subcategories: sitting position, steering position, and feet position. Well, the seat only has 2 out of 4 bolts, but apart from that, the side supports are actually not touching me and thereby not holding me. I'm not really tucked in, could be better. The position itself is okay. I was able to rotate the steering a bit, so the steering wheel is actually facing me, which makes the steering position actually quite nice. For my feet comfort, it's 2 things. I'm missing a footrest on the left side, so I'm really not able to hold myself with my left foot. My right foot is controlling the throttle, but I would actually move that a little bit further in the front so that the throttle and the foot brake has the same distance to the seat. Right now, I mean, I fit in it, I can control everything, so I would give it a 2 out of 5. If you liked how I tested the MX-1 and you want me to compare it to the MX-2 or some of my other machines, please let me know in the comments. Now that I have seen the results and the numbers of the MX-1, I'm quite happy with it. It's a decent baseline, but it definitely can be improved in all 4 aspects. Let's start with the braking. I don't really know if it's any good, so if you do want to do the test, then please let me know your numbers. The brakes definitely work. I could lock them up and stop in 10 meters. However, the best way is not to lock them up, but actually to brake smoothly. That was quite difficult on the bumpy track. I think one of the ways I could reduce the brake distance is actually to lower the tire pressure. Not only because it will give me a better grip, but also because it will make the ride less bouncy. I'm not allowed to have any suspension in this due to the regulations in the race. However, I can lower the tire pressure to like half a bar, which is 6 or 7 psi, and that will act as a suspension at that point. But the brakes work. The steering I built, I'm at this point not worried that it will break. However, there is some kinks I need to figure out. Sometimes it doesn't feel as smooth as other times, and the steering angle is not the greatest. Both of those things I can improve. The acceleration and top speed, I'm quite happy with it at the moment. However, it still needs to be dialed in. The carburetor needs to be tuned, it's running rich and so on. But hitting nearly 50 kilometers an hour on such a short distance is quite good. The previous version of this, I would hit 40 kilometers an hour, but use the entire distance. So this one I feel is dialed in regarding the gear ratio. I feel it pulls really well and it has definitely a high top speed. Mathematically it should hit like 80. The biggest drawback right now is probably the comfort. The seat only has 2 out of 4 bolts, so it's kind of loose and wonky. And I didn't mount my footrest. This footrest has actually an extra grippy surface, which helps you to stay in the seat. Plus the angle of your foot is quite convenient at that point. And missing that is a big difference. I need to mount this one, make it fit to the new pedal, as well as maybe move the throttle pedal a little bit further so they have the same distance and I can be locked in. The steering felt nice. It was in a nice, comfortable position. And the seat I will also improve a little bit. It has to be a lawnmower seat, so I can't use a go-kart seat, but I can modify it a little bit. So that's what I will do. But overall, I feel it was quite a success. But if you're interested on how it performed before I did the rebuild, then check out this video here, right here. And please go test these things yourself and let me know in the comments how it went for you. I need something to compare it to, and I'm very curious about your builds. But with that, thank you so much for watching. And if you're still watching, consider subscribing. Good. Bye!